Hey friends, it's Dwight. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you're having a great day. So today we're going to work on a repurposed 36 by 36 canvas, and I'm painting over it because I wasn't really happy with the composition. I'll show you in a minute because I'm not going to paint black over it. I'm just going to show you the canvas and what I had painted. I'm just going to paint on top of that. So I'm going to do a puddle pour and swirl, and we'll see what we're going to get today. Now I'm going to use some blues, turquoise, and some yellows, golds, and some nickel azo gold. So we'll see how that works. A little bit of white as well. I'm also going to talk to you in just a moment about how I mix my paints and how I measure my paints. I will say up front that to me a recipe is a suggestion. You don't have to always be so specific, at least in what I do. I'm only going to take credit for the pours that I do. It's mostly about making sure that you have the right consistency. So I'll show you my cups in just a minute. We're going to get started here, so hold on. Okay, friends, here we are. This is the canvas I'm going to paint over. As you can see, it's not too bad, but there were a lot of really small pearls. That indicates two things. Either my paints were too thick, or sometimes it's the Floetrol. I find that the Floetrol is the key to making these pours successful. So on this 36 by 36 canvas, here's my chart here. It's a little dirty, but as you see, 36 by 36 in the third column, it takes 45 ounces of paint to cover the surface. So this is what I use to measure my paints. This is a 4-ounce cup, 8-ounce cup, 16-ounce cup, and 24-ounce cup. Now, as you can see, it looks dirty. It is clean. It's just that I use this cup over and over again. And this is primarily I use for my dump paint. So any canvas that is over 24 by 36, I use 24 ounces of black paint. The canvases start getting smaller, I use the 16 ounce. And if it's a real small canvas, which I usually don't do, then I may do 8 ounces of the dump paint. So what I'm going to do today for this painting is I'm going to do 7 cups, 7 8-ounce cups. So what's 7 times 8? 56 ounces, if my math is correct. If it's not, that's embarrassing. That's way more than I need to cover. But I'm also going to do 24 ounces of black paint. So you might think that's way too much paint, but look, these are 36-inch edges. I'm going to be tilting off every edge and every corner, so you want to make sure you have enough paint. And it is hit or miss, I'll be honest with you. It's taken me years to get this down. Sometimes I do not enough paint, and so everything gets stretched out, and then I can't get it over the last corner. Or if it's too much paint, it just kind of pools, and then my cells get all stretched and wonky, and it's just not a good thing. So that's what we're going to do today. I will show you my paints in just a few moments, but I just want to remind you, since I get a lot of questions over and over and over again, how I mix my paints. I usually mix 1 part paint, just a little bit of paint. The rest of it that I fill the cup up with is the Floetrol, a drizzle of Liquitex pouring medium, just this good old stuff here, and water. You need water. These paints have to be thin. So you want to make sure that your paints are thin enough. So what I'll do is I will show you, once my paints are all mixed, I'll show you the consistency. But I do that over and over and over again. And what I realize is it's not the amount of paint you're using, it's the amount of Floetrol. As you know, when you mix paint with Floetrol, the Floetrol takes the color of the paint. So you don't need half a cup of paint and then half a cup of Floetrol. I just use like 1 or 2 ounces, if that. The smaller cups is at least 1 ounce. Here it could be 1 to 2 ounces. And then it's just Floetrol, drizzle, Liquitex pouring medium, and water. That's it. So let me figure out my colors here, get mixing, and I will show you the consistencies, and we'll go from there. Okay, friends, here we are back at the canvas. The paints are all mixed. So I was going for a color palette that reminded me of my recent trip to Palm Springs, California, sort of mid-century modern colors with the blues and turquoise. I've got some of the desert sand colors. So let me just show you what we've got here. So the white right here is Artist Loft Soft Body White right out of the bottle. This is the blue as well, right out of the bottle of Soft Body by Artist Loft. And this is just the white and blue mixed. These two colors mixed to this one. And this one is the blue with some Artist Loft yellow and Artist Loft white to make sort of a turquoise blue. It looks a little greener in person than it does here on the camera. And then this is Dazzling Metallics. It's Peacock Pearl. And this is Azo Gold. Now, I did add 1 little drop of Payne's Gray just to deepen it ever so slightly. And then this has got a deal champagne, and gosh, I'm not quite sure what that one was. That was, I think, a little bit of copper, some yellow, and a little bit of red. And there you have it, sort of a tomato soup color. And then there's my dump paint. That's Artist Loft Soft Body Black. Now, let me show you the consistencies. Hopefully it's been sitting here for a while. Don't want to spill it. See how the paint pretty much goes in? That's what I'm looking for. So I do check my consistencies again before I pour, because these have been sitting here for a while. As you can imagine, it takes a while to mix and get everything correct. But I also want to remind you to strain your paints. I mean, look at the clumps that are in some of the paints there. So that's what takes extra time, is that I mix it, then I strain it, and then I get the right consistency. So I am not sure how I'm going to do this today. I will start with a little white on the bottom. I may then start with these colors and then just fill these in. So I don't want to think too much about it, because if I overthink it, sometimes it doesn't turn out great. So we'll see how it goes. So hold on, let me double check these consistencies once more, and I'll set things up and we'll get going. So here we are, getting ready to do this pour. Gonna say a quick hello with my blue jazz hands before we get started. So again, I'm not going to be using my colander or my strainer. I'm just going to start pouring a puddle. And starting with the darkest color, a little bit of white on top of that. Then some more of that dark sort of azo gold with that little bit of Payne's gray. So going from dark to light. It's the champagne. Then I want a little bit of that darkest of the blue. And then just starting to layer the blue. Now I started moving my paints off the canvas because it looked like the puddle was gravitating towards the upper right corner. I don't know why it does that, because my paintings tend to turn out just fine. Anywho, so just a separation there with some white, and then of course the lightest of the blue. Adding the rest of the champagne. And again, stacking the colors. I like to use colors side by side that are at least within the same color story. Sometimes you can butt them up against a different color. As long as they are adjacent on the color wheel, it could look pretty cool. If they're opposite on the color wheel, then you take the risk of colors mixing and then creating sort of a brown color, which isn't very flattering, unless that's what you're going for. So we're wrapping up here and gonna top it off with the light blue. So I'm double checking the consistency of the black one more time. Again, it's been sitting there. It's always good to do that if you have a specific consistency that you want to make sure that you have. If paints are sitting as you're mixing, you want to make sure that they're okay and not too thick, because they can thicken just slightly. Sometimes it doesn't happen, just depends on the paint. So even though this video is slightly sped up, I did pour that nice and slowly. So now I was looking for my tweezers, because if you can notice on the left-hand side of the video here, there's a little something going on there. I really couldn't find anything. I wasn't really sure. There may have been just a blob of paint that got through my strainer somehow. So just a simple swirl. I want to get the black spread out a little bit and to bring that paint over the edge. Now on this particular pour, the black didn't really cover all of the color before it went over the edge, so I think I lost some color. But that's okay. That can happen sometimes. I'd rather have enough paint than not enough paint on the canvas. So I bring it back a little bit to sort of recenter the paint. Now when I started looking at this, I was thinking, okay, that blue and that yellow and sort of orange mix is going to give me some green. And I was getting a little fearful that this was going to be more green and yellow than blue and yellow, or blue and gold. So in just a second here, there we go, all the color pops up. I love the time lapse. Okay, let's look at the wet results. Okay guys, here we are. It's been about an hour and a half, and I am very pleased. It's just kind of cool and subtle. Tons of pearls, a little bit of the gold and the yellow, and then we have this section here. And just the blue, pretty much just around the negative space, nothing exciting, just a statement piece. You have a nice ring here, you have a darker ring next to that transition, transition, then you have the yellows and the golds and the azo gold that I put in there. So it's basically done moving. You can see that it's dry on the edge, which is awesome. Okay, so we'll let it dry. We'll see how it is first thing in the morning. I'll probably clean up the edge. That's about it. I think we're pretty good. Everything's looking good. Okay, hold on and we'll see how it dries. So, good morning, here we are. Painting dried overnight. Basically, it looked the same as it did when I left it, so that's good. Nothing else moved. So I'm really, really enjoying this. I think it's a beautiful painting with the blues and the turquoise, then of course sort of the gold and the yellow color, or the champagne color actually. So as you can see, there's a lot more detail up close. And you know, I'm gonna say something, and I probably won't do it, but there's a part of me that wants to go in just around the negative space and add some of this color. But I'm afraid that if I do that, there's no turning back. So I'm not really sure if I should or not. I'm definitely going to clean the edge just because I want it to look clean and crisp. But other than that, I may trim a few cells, but there's not a whole lot of work to be done in that space. So what I might do, when I sit down to clean up that edge, I may come back and sort of maybe, if I do a little inside ring there, which I think would look pretty cool actually, what I may do is just use the champagne color with a little bit mixture of the, azo gold. Or I'll do the champagne color, then a little dot of azo gold. Anyway, I want it to look natural if I do it. I don't want it to look like it's too contrived. But yeah, so this is what we got. Let's see what I end up with and what I decide to do. Maybe what I'll do is just, maybe just highlight some of this more. And up here, my finger in the way, up here, so that way it looks like it goes more around. That might be the way to go. I don't want to mess up too much around the negative space. So maybe that's the idea. I'll take a look once I get down there on the canvas, and then I will show you the final results. Okay, hold on. Let's see what happens next. Okay, guys, just a quick touch up here. I didn't want to do too much to make it look too obvious. I just highlighted some of the pearls that were already there with the color, matching the colors, and then just sort of filled things in just a little bit. It's pretty subtle, but I think it looks pretty good overall, so I'm pretty happy. Okay, so in just a second here, we are going to see the dried results. Okay guys, here we are. The painting is done. And I don't know if you noticed in the sort of sped up section there, I sort of added a few dots in here just to kind of make it more visible, to sort of extend that ring. I didn't want it to be too dark or too bright or too obvious. My initial thought was I was going to go in and clean up around the negative space and put a few dots in there that match these colors here, but I'm glad I didn't do it. So the azo gold is one of my favorite colors. It's sort of that darker color. I'll move in and show you. Sort of paired with the orange and the gold and the champagne. So I just dotted where there were dots over here. I added a little bit more up there, which to me looks pretty natural, so I'm pretty happy with that. So yeah, I had fun with that. So I don't quite have a name for this one yet. There's a show I'm going to enter pretty soon, and I'm going to, I don't know if you can see, remember this one right here? I might enter this one and this one. Okay, well, thanks for watching, guys. I have a surprise for you. I'm going to try to work on this large canvas. That's what is that? A 36 by 48, and do the same type of pour. I'm going to have to get some help because I won't be able to do it on my own, but I'll think about it. And maybe this weekend coming up, we'll do another pour. Okay, friends, thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate you. And if you like these videos, please share, like, subscribe. Remember, subscribing is free. And it only helps me reach more people. So I really appreciate it when I get extra subscribers. I really appreciate it. So guys, have a great start to the week, and we'll see you real soon. And one more thing, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the notes below, or you can email me at dwightpours@yahoo.com. Okay, take care.